Hello everyone, welcome back. We got After Capture today, new episode. I'm going to be editing this American Wigeon. It's a type of duck bird species, and I recently took the photo at Spring Lakes Park, so we're just going to edit, and I'll show you kind of what I do typically to edit a waterfowl photo like this. But go ahead and pour yourself a cup of tea like I did, and yeah, let's get started. Alright, so here's the image here. It's a very beautiful little female American Wigeon duck. Just really like the lighting, how it hit the face just right and really illuminated that little black patch that kind of surrounds the eye there. I just thought it was a really nice touch. Because I took some other photos. I mean, of course I took more photos than this that particular day, but I just found that the lighting just really just casted it, the whole head or whatever, in shadow. You know, it was really something that just was not desirable at all. But this photo, I feel like out of the whole entire crop was just right, where it just got the light, hit it just right on the subject there. As you can tell kind of from the kind of draw distance in the background there, I really used a really shallow depth of field of f9. And just the entire perspective of, I was almost practically knelt down, as you can tell, which is the great part about this location, Spring Lakes, is that you can get really low to the ground and get some fairly close views in photos as well of different kinds of waterfowl like this. So you can really tell that I was kneeling pretty close to the ground. It was kind of raining, you know, just pitter-patter, rain on and off. And then the sun actually came out, crept out of the clouds for this particular image and my time there. Just really nice bird portrait, and I was really kind of surprised with how it turned out. This duck has pretty much been staying there for a while now, and I hope it stays throughout the entire winter. For my other settings, I'm using a Tamron 150-600, the first generation telephoto zoom lens. I was all the way zoomed out at the maximum 600 millimeters, and then for an ISO of 800, which just really helped illuminate the entire subject. And I think another one of my favorite parts about this image is just you can just really tell the camouflage and the way this bird alters its feathers depending on the time of year and the habitat and the seasons to match the landscape. So I just really like the use of complementary colors in the subject in the kind of the foreground, middle ground, and then in the background you got the same kind of colors going on, where you got the orange leaves and the kind of just kind of muddy browns and blacks. But then you look at the duck and it has the same thing going for it. So I just really like the use of complementary colors, and I think that's why this image is quickly becoming one of my recent favorites that I've taken. We'll just get started editing. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit C on the keyboard. It's a keyboard shortcut for the crop tool. And the photo is slightly tilted downward to the right, so I'm going to just kind of bounce it back a little bit, keeping the same, you know, just keeping everything level, because I know for a lot of photographers, including myself, they get really picky if the horizon line's kind of even so slightly tilted. In a wildlife portrait, I might, you know, shrug it off a little bit, but if I was shooting a landscape, for example, it'd be definitely something I'd consider, because I hate it when horizon lines are just all over the place. So, plus it's just such an easy fix, both in camera and the field, which I'm kind of guilty of, like in this case. But even then, in post-processing, it just takes more than a few seconds to just readjust. So I'm gonna, if you can tell, yeah, it's just ever so slightly, I'm just tilting it back, but I feel like it really works in this case. And yeah, that looks much better. And another important thing is compositionally, since I'm just thinking about it, might as well add it, is that the duck obviously is swimming towards the right, from left to right. And so I position, I used a little bit of forethought when I was out in the field, and I had the duck on the left side because I knew it was swimming to the right. And something about that with the way kind of like the human eyes just view images like this, it likes to see when you're conveying motion of some sorts like this. Not so much an emotion blur like this, but you know, it's showing the duck, it's implying there's motion and that's moving, swimming to the right. So I want to leave an empty blank space or a negative space to the right, so that the duck would, in theory, have somewhere to swim to when you're viewing the image. So something about that's just much more pleasing to the eye, I think, and it's definitely what I was going for in this case. And you know, it works. It definitely wouldn't be as effective as a photograph if the duck was on the right, you know, vice versa, already swimming towards out of the frame. It just wouldn't something about that just wasn't aesthetically pleasing. It wouldn't look quite as right. Okay, so I always do clarity for a majority of my photos, really. Majority of my photos, I really don't do too much to them. I just use a handful of adjusters and sliders. A couple of them are globalized sliders, which means it affects the entire image. There's also different layers and masks you can use to affect or select specific parts of the image. So we might mess around with a few of those today. Just depends on what I'm kind of feeling, what I want to do with the photo here. I'm definitely going to experiment with a little bit of dodge and burn and see if that, just makes the photo look much more effective. So I got the details enhancer. It's basically sharpness. I'm just going to do a little bit. I'm going to do that 4 on the medium setting. Just kind of, just pumps out the details. Doesn't add too much noise, fortunately. And then, like I said, we got dodge and burn. So I'm going to just very, very slightly. I'm going to decrease the strength. I'm going to 15. One little click, just around the head. So that way your eyes just really immediately are drawn to it. And I'm just going to keep doing the rest of the subject here. There you go. But you don't want to, make the duck look overexposed, like it's just like a ball of white or whatever. And then actually I'm going to experiment here. I'm going to try a little bit of darken. I'm just going to do, can you tell the difference already? It's way on the back there. Because you can tell there's some white spots in the back, and I want to darken it a little bit. Oh, and another thing, now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually a really important thing, at least for me, is I'm going to do the clone and stamp tool. And so what I'm going to do is all these different little distractions, I think at least, in the lake water, particularly in the foreground. There's a little bit in the kind of just behind the duck here, behind the widgeon. There's all these different little leaves and twigs, and essentially what I'm going to do with the clone stamp tool is just clean up the water so that, just simplifies the photo overall. Some photographers might find this like cheating or just a little bit too much handiwork, but I find to make a more effective photograph, this is what I need to do. So I'm going to decrease my size because I really don't need it at 100% or 100. It's way too big. I'm just going to simply clone out each one. Yeah, this is one of those things that's kind of like a trade-off when you photograph, when you want to get the shot type of thing, like especially if it's like a bird like this, where I'm like, you kind of have to accept in the moment that you're going to have to do a little editing afterwards to remove certain things like this. Sometimes I don't even notice them really, because I'm just so focused on photographing the subject. I don't really notice them until afterwards. That's pretty much how it was in this case, and then I noticed all these little things in the water, so I'm just going to clean up the image. I feel like it looks a lot better. One little tricky thing is, since this is water and there's reflections and all the different colors, is I want to make sure it's still, the cloning still retains the kind of the realism of the reflections and all these different lines that are just coming down, which isn't too big of a deal. It's just something to keep in mind. That way, if some prospective viewers want to see this image, they will see that, it's natural looking, almost as if there wasn't anything in the water before besides the widgeon. So yeah, cloning is a thing I use pretty commonly to clone out little details like this, just because I get kind of perfectionistic, a little bit particular about certain things like this. But as you can see, it really doesn't take too long. If you photograph it right, there shouldn't be too much work to do. Just kind of. So I'm going to do, when I'm done here, I'm going to do the before and after, just to kind of show you what it looked like before, and then you can sound off in the comments if you think it looks better or worse. I'm pretty sure most of you will agree it looks a lot better with the water all cleaned up. Yeah, it already looks way better in my opinion. Just really simplifies the entire photo, which is definitely one of the important things about photography, is to just simplify, put your focus solely on the subject like this. That's why I dropped out the background out of focus, and then cloning out all those different things in the water. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, looks really good. Climb a little bit in the background there. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, so yeah, looks really good. I think I'm almost done here, honestly. So let's have the image process here. All right, and before and after. What do you think? I think much better. There's a lot more contrast too as well, but I feel like it works in this case, so I'm gonna keep it. If you want to go even more extreme, if you want to show less of the habitat and the landscape surrounding the duck, we could even crop it in more, but I feel like this is a nice focal length, the 600 mil, and it just really shows the background. And I think what I really was going for with this image is just to show the surrounding, kind of how it camouflages, and pretty much the feathers and how it all matches. Like I said earlier, complementary colors. That's definitely what I was going for in this case. We're going to apply a slight vignette. Very, yeah, see, too harsh. Very subtly. Right there. Maybe a little bit less. Just a little bit less. Alright. I think that's pretty much it. Don't want to overdo it, so yeah. I really like how that turned out, so. As always, I'm going to name it the subject, American Wigeon, and I'm going to do the acronym, AW, American Wigeon, AW, and then just call it 10, I believe that's how many. JPEG, same stuff, no sharpening after export, since I already did it in the photo editor. sRGB for color space, and then quality is 8%. And that is it, guys. So thank you so much for watching. If I kind of rushed through it, I'm sorry, I apologize, but if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. I've been editing this on Skylum software, Luminar in particular. It's a great photo editor. And if you actually want to purchase a copy and support me in developing more content for this channel, I'm going to post the referral link down below, and you can click it. If you buy a piece of the software, I actually get a little share of the profits back, and that'll help support me, and you get some amazing photo editor software that I use to make photos and edit what I do. So if you do that, I really appreciate it. If you don't, it's okay, but you can continue to watch this channel and enjoy all the different adventures I go on. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, edit your photos and then get out there. Thank you.